Okay.
Good morning, Johanna. I'm very delighted to have you here today for this interview. You are the head of the EU delegation of Make Mothers Matter. That means you do the advocacy work of Make Mothers Matter at the European Union level. Please, could you already tell me a little bit what is the role of the EU delegation within Make Mothers Matter?
Thank you, Laurence. Thank you. Good morning, and good morning, everybody who's listening to us today. As everybody knows, the European Union plays a very important role at the international level. It also is very important and fundamental in the protection of human rights and in the field of cooperation with developing countries. And in the EU, part of a larger part of the national legislation of the member states comes from legislative and non-legislative acts adopted at the EU level. And these acts have an directly impact on the people's lives. And before proposing these new legislative initiatives, the European Commission must evaluate the possible economic or social or ecological consequences of those acts. And in this process, it must consult interested parties such as non-governmental organizations, local organizations, representatives of the industry or the civil society.
Mm-hmm. And that's where MMM then comes in to respond to this to these questionnaires. Yeah.
Exactly, and so MMM takes right of this mechanism of the European system of legislative initiatives and identifies concrete measures to empower mothers and influence policymakers. And influence a change in the legislation. Mm-hmm. So these changes or these policies lead to positive outcomes in the lives of the mothers, mm-hmm. and have at the same time an impact in their families and the society in general. Mm-hmm. And the MMM delegation monitors these policies and activities at the EU level. Mm-hmm. And focuses on important issues that affect mothers, such as gender equality, work-life balance, part-time job, flexible working hours, pension rights, there are also the objectives of sustainable development, maternal and child health, and many others that affect especially mothers and families' lives. Mm-hmm. And for this, MMM attends, not only monitors these policies, but also attends meetings of the commissions of the Parliament, mm-hmm. Parliament, where these legislative projects are discussed. Also, MMM Make Mothers exchanges with the important or the relevant services of the European Commission who deal with these matters, and follows and engages with the presidencies of the Council of the EU.
Okay, and as you speak about the presidency, I know for the first 5 months of this year, and it will last until the 1st of July, it was exactly now Portugal that had the presidency. What does that mean for a country to have the presidency of the EU? Can you explain us a bit?
Yes, so every 6 months, each country of the EU now it's going to be less. It's going to be rotating faster because of England. So every 6 months, each country has the presidency, what is called the presidency of the Council of the EU, and is where it draws the EU in general draws, or the national members draw the program of the major issues that are going to be dealt in the Council. And these are going to be tackled during 6 months or 18 months, because always the countries work in a trio presidency. That means 3 countries develop these programs for 18 months, and they have a little bit of a common program with some details that are different and special for each country. And for example, here this trio presidencies is composed by Germany, who was the last one before Portugal, starting January this year. Now it's Portugal, as you just said, until July this year. And from July on, until the end of the year, is going to be Slovenia. So these 3 countries have drawn up, for example, and make a big point in their agenda that they are going to deal with gender equality. And for example, the Portuguese presidency right now wants to assess and discuss the impact of COVID-19 crisis on gender equality. It wants to prevent and work on preventing and combat violence against women and domestic violence, marking the 10th anniversary of the Istanbul Convention right now, and other policies. And for example, another big important moment of this presidency, of the Portuguese presidency, that is going to be remembered by especially the civil society, but also by the policymakers, is the social summit that just took place May 7th and 8th in Porto. And it's not that every year there is a social European summit. No, the last one was in 2017. So it's not every year. It depends on the willingness of the countries, of the willingness of the EU institutions. And this year, the government of Antonio Costa, especially, and with all its cabinet, like it was also Madame Mendes Godinho, the Minister of Work, who were behind this social summit. The social summit was very important because it was presenting the time to present to all the member states what is the so-called the European pillar of social rights that we are going to discuss later. I can explain a little bit only here that this social summit took place because of the strong commitment of the Portuguese government. And that was a very good initiative. And I think, as I said, civil society is very happy because it was the first time also that civil society was not sitting outside the table, but it was on the table discussing, presenting recommendations, and also Make Mothers Matter could contribute to these inputs, being part of a big platform of organizations working in social issues. So yeah, we are very grateful for this Portuguese presidency.
Thank you. Yeah, that's something Portugal can be proud of. Thank you very much. And in your daily job, what are the key issues that concern Make Mothers Matter for your advocacy work?
Well, we conducted a survey of almost 12,000 mothers at the EU level, and we identified three main demands that were expressed by mothers. The mothers wanted time for their family. The mothers wanted choice about the childcare, so what to choose, and to not to everybody has to choose the same system of taking care of the kids, and the recognition of the role as mothers. So the mothers have expressed their concerns about the challenges that they face on balancing this work and family life. For example, in the EU, women spend more, on average, 39 hours per week doing unpaid work, compared with men who they do 19 hours of unpaid care work per week. Also, the statistics show that at the current pace, it's going to take 250 years to close this gender pay gap between men and women. And we know, and we are very clear at Make Mothers Matter, that among the root causes of this gender pay gap, we find the unpaid care work. The gender inequalities in earnings and the gender inequalities in income are closely related to the care duties for children in the majority of cases, also of other dependent family members. And this falls proportionally on mothers. In the case of the single mothers, we have is especially more severe. We know that at the EU, 15% of all households with children are single parents households, and these more than 80% are headed by a mother. We know as well, and the research shows that, and the statistics, that single parents households are more at risk of poverty. Today, for example, the gender pay gap at the EU between men and women, it stands at 16%. The pension gap, so all the inequalities that are added at the end of the career of a woman, the pension gap between men and women are 30%. And the salary of a woman decreases more or less with every kid that she has by approximately 12%. So on the other hand, this unpaid care work, because this pay gap, as I just said, is the root cause is the unpaid care work. But on the other hand, this unpaid care work is indispensable. Someone must respond to the material, educational, and emotional needs of the family members not only of the children, as I said, but also handicapped people, people with an illness, people of all age. And this essential work, family work, is not only essential for the family, but it's also essential for the communities, for workplaces, for the society. And if this didn't exist, the economies will stop functioning, and the well-being of the people would be at stake. Mm-hmm. So, but this unpaid care work is not recognized, is not valued, and perpetuates these inequalities and inequalities in paid and economic in general. Mm-hmm. And thus, therefore, the work of MMM, we work with the so-called 3 R's. Mm-hmm. So the first R is recognize, the second R is reduce, and the third R is redistribute. So we said that we need to recognize this unpaid care work. This unpaid work is work, and gives rights and has to give rights to social rights. And for instance, it can be recognized in the pension as pension credits when a woman stops her career for some time. That this time caring for the family is credited at the end of her professional career in the form of care credits. It has to be, we said, reduce, and by reduce, we speak about how to reduce the task or the amount of work that they have, and we said that parents need to have a real choice of how to care for the children. Either they take care of them by themselves, or they take care they're being taken care by other means. A kindergarten, a woman, a family member, etc. And it can also be reduced. This is a way of reducing the unpaid care work, but also it can be in the form of child and family benefits that the family reduces, that the family is not penalized because the family has children. And we also fight and we also advocate for if we talk about childcare centers, they have to be childcare centers that are accessible, that are affordable, that are of a high quality. And finally, the last R is to redistribute. So redistribute this care is not only among the members of the family. That's what is important, that fathers are involved in this care. That's a way of redistributing this unpaid care work. But also that the society has to play a role in this by, for example, living and giving the right to generous, long and well-paid parental paternity leaves. And it is a way also that the society values this care. Mm-hmm. Because in this way, the society says, yes, it's not an expense, it's an investment if we invest in families. So those are the 3 R's that you might hear about them from other of our colleagues at MMM.
Yeah, very interesting that invest in holidays. It's not really holidays, but to invest in more time for the families to spend with their children. That is really has to be considered as an investment more than as some money that is just spent. Very interesting. And what have been some landmark moments in the actions that have been taken to bring about change for the EU delegation? Is there anything that is really that you think you can be very proud of?
Yes, of course, we work together with partnerships, and we are not the only NGO, but since 2016, MMM was part of a European alliance, actively working and participating in concrete recommendations on how to improve people's life, and especially the life of working families, and for us, working mothers. And this movement and this active participation end up in the European Work-Life Balance Directive of 2019. Mm-hmm. So how it worked, it was we started to develop an intense campaign, and we were able to have a commitment from the European Commission to launch a new legislative initiative to address not only the old directive for maternity leave, that this is an old directive that sets the minimums for maternity leave in Europe, but this is a very old one. This dates from 1992. And this was blocked, unfortunately, at the council level. That means the member states were having difficulties to make an agreement. And it was blocked for more than 4 years. So the Commission decided no, and they went our way, the way of the civil society. And they say we withdrew this proposal of changing this maternity leave, but they propose a broader topic of conciliation. And this new package of legislative package was including work arrangements for not only for mothers, family leave, but also for fathers and for the family in general. It included flexible times, the right to request. I don't know if you want me to explain a little bit about the right to request. That's a very important.
You can explain it, yes, please, because I know this is something you've been working hard on, yeah.
It's a very important new tool that we were fighting very strongly from the beginning. Is the right that the employee has to ask for adapt their working conditions. That means reduce working hours, or work from home, or work from other places, or have flexible working hours, or do this remote work, since that we are a little bit more accustomed right now because of the pandemic. And this is we consider that this is a very important measure to enable working mothers to remain or to re-enter the labor market. Mm-hmm. So all this campaign and this work of MMM came to light in a form of EU directive, as I said, the Work-Life Balance Directive in 2019. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, when we did a video when this directive was voted with a majority, almost the whole EU Parliament voted for it. And maybe, I don't know if we want to...
Maybe we can watch the little movie right now, and then we take the discussion afterwards again.
Today is a huge victory for social Europe. We are changing the family life now with this directive.
We can't change people's lives and their way of thinking by law, but the law is an important instrument to encourage people to think differently.
La première lutte que nous devons mener, c'est la lutte contre les discriminations à l'emploi à l'égard des femmes. Pour ce faire, il y a des directives aujourd'hui en Europe qui est la lutte contre la discrimination, mais il faut vérifier que les États membres mettent réellement en application cette question.
On ne peut pas mieux tomber, qui cherche à mieux concilier le travail et la vie professionnelle, c'est-à-dire à faciliter la vie des mamans, grosso modo, à lutter contre les discriminations, permettre de rester plus longtemps avec leur bébé nouveau-né, de mieux organiser et de plus organiser les garderies pour les enfants.
What we did with this new directive is to change the culture, to discuss this between men and women, and to share better the professional work outside the house and also caring tasks.
The next fight, I think, is to improve the package. Improving the package for me is to take back again on revision the maternity leave directive.
Die Punkte, die die Weltgesundheitsorganisation vorgibt, wenn es um Mutterschaftsrichtlinie geht, dass die aufgegriffen werden.
Eliminar todas las trabas que en estos momentos tienen las mujeres que quieren ser madres para acceder al mercado laboral.
Balance means engagement of both of parents. It is very needed, very important for the families, for children.
Evidentemente, la sociedad tiene que salir a camino para facilitar esta conciliación, con horarios flexibles, con ayudas a las cuidadores y cuidadoras que normalmente son mujeres, con centros de día, con unidades residenciales, con soporte para vida independiente, para discapacidad.
Les prochains combats, il faut continuer la construction de l'Europe sociale qui nous permet de rapprocher l'Europe des citoyens, chacun d'entre eux.
Ich würde mir mehr wünschen als das, was Europa derzeit macht.
Okay, wow, this was a beautiful little movie, Johanna. Congratulations for all the reactions you got from all these parliamentary people from all different countries. Very, very interesting. And can you now explain exactly in a few points what this directive includes? What does that mean?
Well, in few words, what it included was a minimum of parental and other leaves, and I'm going to explain in more detail. That those are minimum standards that the EU sets. There are countries that still before that they were way beyond these standards, so they were doing very well, but there were countries that were not having any of these things or very little of these things. So it's just a minimum where the countries are obliged to hold these minimums at least, but they can go, of course, beyond and be more generous. And it included, for example, 10 days of paternity leave that has to be compensated at least at the sick of paid sick level. There were countries who didn't have any paternity leave. Wow. Then it included 4 months of parental leave for each parent, and 2 of these months have to be non-transferable between parents because we consider, and also what there was a discussion. Nevertheless, the woman is the one who gives birth, so she needs some time to recover because it's not only it's a physical event,
emotional, yeah.
And she's the one who delivers. So, but now there are these 4 months, and 2 of these 4 months for each parent cannot be transferable to the other. So they have to be used by the one of the parents. Then it was included 5 days for carers leave per year. These were almost inexistent in many of the countries. And then we just discussed about this right to request for parents of children under the age of 8. They can request flexible working arrangements for working, like for example, to reduce working hours, to have flexible working hours, flexibility on the place of work. This doesn't mean, and that was one thing that we wanted to have included in there. It's not an automatic right. It already puts a little bit the employer in a difficult situation to say, no, I don't want you to work from home, or I don't want you to work. So it's in a step. It's not a complete what we will have wanted, but it's already a big step. And we know that payment, flexibility, and non-transferability are crucial to increase take-up among fathers if they want to be included in this unpaid care work. So that's more or less in a nutshell, what the EU Work-Life Balance Directive means for parents.
Mm-hmm. And as you said, this is a minimum. So that means that now all the countries have to adopt this, but the minimum they should decide of is what has been put in the directive, and they can, of course, go beyond and give even more to their citizens.
Exactly. Yeah. No country has, the countries that had higher standards, they are not obliged, of course, and they are not going to do it. And we have seen some of the countries already implemented this directive. Yes, they cannot go lower than this.
And what is the time they have to do that within a few?
This directive, they have to transpose it, as it's called, to transpose it in national law. So each member state, each of the 27 member states have to transpose it into national law. And this has to be done by the summer next year, so 22. All the countries had to submit their changes or to show to the EU Commission that they did the changes. Mm-hmm. We have seen, for example, and we push the governments that have not undertaken this transposal to go beyond, to be generous on the parental leave, to pay the parental leave, because that's the only way that the parents will decide to spend time with their children. Because if not, the families are paying for staying at home with children, which is not the idea. Is not what I explained that mothers want, and it's the way to include fathers in this unpaid care work and this care work. And the Portuguese legislation.
I wanted to say, what about Portugal? Do you know if they have implemented this already?
Yes, we have seen that they have implemented. They are a good example, but at the same time, it's exactly the good example in books. When the law is in a book, it's very nice, in a code, it's very nice. But when the law is in action, it's different. Because even though the Portuguese legislation has adopted all the mechanisms established in the EU law in relation with maternity, paternity, parental leaves and care, and to improve the reconciliation of professional and family life, and granted all the mechanisms that are provided by this domestic law now, and it's going even beyond the EU law. I think father's parental leave is 20 days or something. So it went beyond that. But however, in practice, the protection of maternity, especially the maternity during pregnancy and immediately after giving birth, is still needed. Since in Portugal, pregnant women still, and especially young mothers or pregnant women, face more difficulties in being hired and are more easily dismissed from their workplaces. So still, the law is something, but, and then also the balance between work and family life between working parents is not ready. So to the point that we would say it is really balanced, because the care responsibilities are still considered predominantly a female task. Mm-hmm. And since most women in Portugal work full-time, this has strong consequences on their pay gap, on the pension gaps, and all these gaps I was mentioning, because still is all this social stigma attached to care and to family responsibilities. In Portugal, there is still a long way to go, as in many other countries. I'm not saying that Portugal is the only one, and many other countries, even in the Nordic countries where we think everything is fine, no. We still need to fight against this social stigma attached to care and to family responsibilities, mm-hmm. and to share this and to explain also to men that it is important that they do the care, because it's redundant, it produces only benefits for the whole family, started by them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the case of Portugal, but they are there, and I think it's already a good step that they went beyond these minimum standards. Yes.
Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah. And on which other topics are you working right now? Or is there something else that you would like to mention that you think is important?
Yes, I just mentioned that before. I mean, the work-life balance is a part of what the European Commission calls the pillar of social rights. It's a pillar, it's a social policy that consists of 20 principles on this social field. And this year, I just mentioned that when explaining the presidency of Portugal, the Commission published an action plan on these pillars, social pillars, which means that the Commission wants to give concrete actions to these pillars, that they are not only rights, but they are actionable rights. And this year, for example, one of the concrete actions proposed by the EU and were launched now at the Social Summit, fostered and backed by the Portuguese presidency, is the child guarantee. The child guarantee is an idea, is an initiative of the EU, which aims at tackling children in poverty, ensuring that every child has in the EU that is at risk of poverty or social exclusion has the right to the most basic rights to health, right to care, right to education. And we are hoping that in the coming weeks, this child guarantee is approved by the council, because the EU, the Commission is supportive of this. It started by them, also by the European Parliament. They are both backing this initiative. Mm-hmm. Now it's up to the EU member states who will need to implement this at the country level to back up this important initiative that is tackling poverty. Mm-hmm. And it is topic, MMM, we have been advocating since 2019, since this initiative started, and the Parliament has started discussing this and the Commission. We said that it was important to support also families, the families of these vulnerable children, considering that children from age 0 to 18 years old only spend 20% of their time in formal settings. That means in school or periscolaire or pre-garden, kindergarten, etc. Because they spend a lot of time with their families, and also because there are no poor children in well-off families. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's a reality. So we are, and now we have seen that from 2019, when we started also discussing at the EU level with other NGOs about this and talking about parents and the need to include also parents in this child guarantee. The EU is including more and more, and we, as we say, we change our place. At the beginning we were like a footnote, yes, families, and now we are considered, and it's called, yes, everybody understands that vulnerable children live in vulnerable families.
And helping the children will definitely help the families as well, and give them a better future. So
exactly, but we need to help these families to end up this crisis, this cycle of
difficulties. Well, thank you very much. And as a conclusion, I think you are doing a wonderful work at the EU level for all these, helping all the rights of these working moms here listening to us today. What would be your last message that you would like to tell them or to give them as an advice?
Well, I like very much, like I think maybe 4 years ago, the EU Commission launched a campaign and a slogan that they use. And the slogan was called, "She is we, she is us." And the example I loved the most is not European, but it's from a football player that I think many people know. He is a football player from Côte d'Ivoire. And he said, I'm trying to remember his name, is Drogba, Didier Drogba from Ivory Coast. I think everybody who follows football knows him very well. And he said that if she is educated, and he was thinking of his own mother, we are more intelligent. And that is exactly what we believe in. And Make Mothers Matter believes that when we empower women, when we protect them, when we trust them, when we invest in them, this benefits all of us. It's not only them, it's not only their families, but it's the society at large that benefits from this. So I want just to everybody who remembers Didier Drogba today to think about his beautiful example of his mother. And he was thanking her as well, that because of her, he's the star that he is, and he's intelligent, and he thanks his mother. So that's, I think, one of the messages that we want to share with everybody today. And I think in Portugal they know a lot of Didier Drogba, so check it out.
Thank you very much, Johanna. It was a pleasure to listen to all your very busy activities in Brussels. This last message was definitely a nice one. A football player thanking his mom. Well, that's what all moms dream of, that their children one day will thank them and recognize all the efforts that we as mothers put in our children, in sharing our time between our work and our families. Thank you very much, and hope the audience had an interesting talk with you. Johanna, is there a place where they can follow you or contact you on social media? I know, of course, Make Mothers Matter is on Facebook.
Yes.
It's
Twitter, Facebook, and yes, and I invite everybody to follow makemothersmatter.org in internet
on the website.
And you have all the contacts. And if you want to be part of this movement of mothers, we are delighted to work with everybody and to work for everybody, for all the mothers.
Okay, thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.